I don't think people understand that the genetics of dragons is a engineering masterpiece on a genetic scale because it blends reptile, bird, and mammal DNA with unique adaptations to fire, flight, and intelligence. Now, at the core, right, is the reptile DNA. Just like us, we got that reptile part in our brains. So then you have the bird DNA, and this mixes in with the reptile DNA because we be thinking they have scales and stuff like this, but really they be having feathers or these like things called proto feathers. And see, as humans, we have this mammal brain. Somewhere in dragons, they have mammal type things inside of their brain. This is why they have advanced intelligence and social behaviors, because parts of their genome resembles mammals. This is why dragons can talk, they can sing, they can speak different languages. So when it comes to animals, have you ever heard of this thing called giganticism? So similar to whales and like dinosaurs, dragons would have DNA that allows massive size without organ collapse. So they have reinforced connective tissue and efficient oxygen circulation. That's why they can be real high up in the air, soaring thousands of feet, or be real deep in the water, or be real high up in some mountains, or be in a volcano, and they have no problem breathing in that heat environment. Dragons also have longevity genes, likely a form of anti-aging code, kind of like what you find in lobsters, or like that Greenland shark, if you search up Greenland shark. Now, what's also interesting about their key genetic traits is thermal regulation. That goes back to what I was talking about, because they have genes that enable them to survive in extreme conditions like cold, back to the mountain peaks and the volcanic caves I was just talking about. Then we have the fire breath. Now, if the fire breath is literal, it would require a specialized genetic and type of physiological system. So it would be like 2 dual chemical glands. These genes are for producing volatile compounds, kind of like bombarder beetles, because bombarder beetles produce hydrogen peroxide and something else, I can't remember, and they store it in these glands. Well, dragons do the same thing. Then they have a spark organ, which is a crystallized type structure in the throat. Or it's kind of like a piezoelectric crystal, kind of like when you got those lighters, those click lighters. There's a crystal in those click lighters, and that's what the dragon has in their throat tissue. So this is how it ignites and expels the chemicals or the gas out of itself. And that's how you get the classical dragon fire. This spark organ is embedded into the tissue of their throats. So with heat-resistant DNA repair, their genes prevent them from degrading from exposure to high heat from inside or outside the body. This is how they don't burn themselves when they're blowing out those flames. So let's talk a little bit about their skeletons and their muscles right quick. So with their wings, their DNA is coded for elongated, reinforced wings, kind of like a bat. Plus, they have massive chest muscles for lift and takeoff. Then you have the scales and the armors that are kind of mixed in with these feathers or proto feathers, right? So their scales are similar to keratin. And if you don't know what keratin is kind of like what makes up your nails and parts of your hair and your enamel production. And you know what enamel is? Enamel is linked to your bones. So this creates both flexible and armored plates, right? Then they have this enhanced hemoglobin for carrying massive amounts of oxygen to fuel fire bursts in flight. So if you don't know what hemoglobin is, that's another word for blood. They have enhanced blood for carrying massive amounts of oxygen to fuel fire bursts in flight. Dragons can also perform cross-species communication. They have genes that enhance their vocal cords for things like resonance. They also have resonance chambers in their throats, enabling speech sounds, so they can make their voices sound like anything, kind of like a parrot, if that makes sense. So a lot of myths suggest that dragons can talk, and I believe they can talk. Then we got to talk about the predatory instincts and the wisdom, because their nervous system would balance animal ferocity with advanced cognitive control. So these are highly intelligent creatures. Some scientists say that dragons may have branched off from dinosaurs or crocodiles. They don't really know.